Starting a new series. And in this new series, you're never going to see an astrology chart. Hold on a second. I'm lighting my candle. I can do both, I think, at the same time, right? You're never going to see an astrology chart. You will only hear the words. And this series is going to be degrees. And we're going to do the 30 degrees of each sign. So the first one will be the first degree of Aries. I said the first degree of Aries, which is 0 degrees of Aries. Yes, so starting with Aries at 0 degrees, the flame, right? That's actually very relevant for Aries energy because it's fire. So understanding a little bit more about fire, it's active, it's alive, it's hot. Those are 3 words: active, alive, and hot. It can be quite fast because it's fire. And if it gets mixed with a little bit of oxygen, it grows. It can even explode. Aries energy is about initiating something, is about a kickoff point, a starting point. It is a intense energy at 0 degrees. That's the alarm for my mom. I just checked. And she's family is with her right now. So we're good. So with the Aries at the 0 degrees, and 0 is considered extreme. Now, because Aries is a kickoff point and 0 degrees is extreme, which is kind of like a crisis point, there's a thing called the world axis point. And there's really like 4 of them in the chart. They're the cardinal points. They're the 0 degrees of all the cardinal signs. But because Aries is the first sign on the cardinal signs, and the cardinal signs being Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, right? And those would be those 4 parts in the chart, right? Like the 1st house, the 4th house, the 7th house, and the 10th house. These are areas that are called the angles in a chart because they're significant. The angles are significant in that these are not necessarily points where we are laying low. These are cardinal points and angles that stress each other. You know, like cardinal energy squares cardinal energy. You follow? They square, they add some stress and some tension. There's going to be friction, there's going to be heat, there's going to be movement with all cardinal energy. So going back to Aries at the 0 degrees, and it being the first cardinal point, the first world access point. And that typically would signify a global event. A global event. So when you have global events, it's not just me and my home and my family and, you know, my neighbors. It's something that kind of reverberates around the world, right? There's an event that has to do possibly with Aryan keywords, which is taking action, aggressive, assertiveness, courage, courageous, even more of a pioneering, like, oh, we've never been there before. We haven't ventured into there, which then kind of brings up the Mars Aryan energy of war, of fighting, of competing, defending, combating. It's, weapons and getting in the ring. But on the large scale now, it's, well, unfortunately, when power is in the hands of the egotistical Aries and of those who have power, who are egotistical and who are childlike, well, what do children sometimes do, right? We know how dangerous it is for guns to be in the hands of children. And when I say the word children, chronological age does not apply to this. So when we say Aries is the child of the zodiac, it has nothing to do with your age only, right? Like it can represent young folks. It can represent the youth. But there's plenty of older folks walking around, my age and older, who are quite juvenile, who are quite prideful and egotistical. So Aries at the 0 degrees is intense, it's aggressive, it's over the top assertiveness, because it's that point of intensification of zeroed in fiery energy, because there's a new start. So what I want you to think of is a seed in the ground. And after a little bit of time, that seed has sat in that soil, got some rain on it, some water, got fed, got some sunlight beaming down on it. A little bit of magic happens. And then the next stage of magic happens. The little bit of magic is there's a rumbling, there's water, right? There's an oxygen flow. There's the life of light itself infused in it, which brings more warmth. And so what happens? What happens to that seed? It has to burst open. There has to be a point where it's literally like this crack and something comes through. But that crack, that initial point of energy, of action happens. And that's 0 degrees of Aries. 0 degrees. So when actions happen at 0 degrees, it's not going to be the same as a person who's got something at 4 degrees of Aries or 7 degrees of Aries or 22 degrees of Aries. It's very different. Each degree is very unique. And 0 degrees of Aries is more intense than 1 degrees of Aries, because it's like this. Some would say that the circle is comparable to godlike energy because of the power that it has. Because a circle, a 0, well, shouldn't use the word 0, but in symbology, the circle is like a symbol of completion, of whole and completeness. I'm trying to get me angled up here. Whole and completeness. That would be the 0 energy. And with that energy, well, if you think and compare it to the divine, it's like, whoa, I don't even understand that kind of power. That's beyond myself. That's beyond my ability to even have words for it, right? So the 0 degrees of Aries, things can happen. Actions can happen. They can be military actions. They can be actions of yourself and you and your body taking action, but also here, the head specifically, because Aries energy in itself is the ram. It puts that head down and it just kind of goes forward. It goes right in. We liken Aries energy to the Marines. No matter how scary and frightening, they're the first ones in, and that's their job. They know they're the first ones in. They know that's what their duty is. They have to be fearless. Some would say a little naive, actually. So the 0 degrees, it's over the top with all of that. And being on the world access point, because 0 degrees is that point, it's large. It's a big event. It's not small. So normally in your chart, if you have something on the 0 degrees of Aries, it is spoken of as though what you have there will be something that will be known because it's on the world stage. It's 0 degrees of Aries, the first of the first cardinal points, the first initial action. You could even say, it's the unmoved mover type of thing. Like when we say, well, how did the world begin? Sure, you can have the stories from the Bible, and every religion has their story of creation. So whether you call them stories or however you want to look at it, the reality is when we look at the astrology behind it and we say, well, what would that have looked like using the planets? Where were they? Did the planets exist? Like, how do we go there? It's the it's the primordial sort of action, meaning we may not necessarily have words to talk about it because that sort of action probably existed a very long time ago. That sort of energy in action existed a very long time ago. And it was more of a survival, very instinctual, do or die type of energy, you see, because it's 0 degrees of Aries. It's where our freedom and our independence and our body and our ability to take action is really extreme, really over the top. And we might even feel as though there's a sense of feeling threatened and we have to defend ourselves. And so we do what we have to do. So it's a very old energy in that it was likely this sort of energy where things really kicked off and we really started seeing fire in a combination with the other fire signs in creating and creative energy, starting something type of energy. So Aries can evolve and become a beautiful leadership type of energy, right? So I'm starting and possibly leading something. But typically, this sort of energy, if you have planets there and if you have a house cusp line there or a combination, right? You're taking the meaning of those other planets, those other objects, and we're combining it. We're fusing them together to tell a story of what is this kickoff point? What are we fighting for? What are we starting? When something touches on that, do we always feel like, oh my God, it's fight or die, do or die. It's survival of the fittest type of energy, 0 degrees of Aries. It's a big deal. It's intense. It's a critical point of action will be taken.